All right, so in this video, in the last video, we got our game going so that we could move to the left as long as we're holding down the left arrow key. And now we're going to make it so our guy can move to the right. Before we do get to that, though, I want to give a little bit of a couple more programming tips here. So one is you want to avoid having fixed numbers in your code. So just like in space, how we made these width and height variables, it's better to either have a static variable, or it might make sense to have this be an instance variable at some point. If you're sure it's not going to change while you're writing your code, or if you're sure it's not going to change as your code runs, you can leave it as static. Let's call it, so this 5, and there's a couple of reasons to do that actually, because right now when you're looking at it, all it says is 5, and you might understand that completely right now, but at some other point somebody else might be trying to figure it out what you did, or you might go away from it for a while and come back and not be able to remember what that 5 was about. So if you create a variable name like, say, move size equals 5, now if you say, or maybe even better, step size, because that's each step, or whatever makes sense to you. I'm going to say copy, and over here I'm going to say paste, make sure it compiles, and now I have a meaningful variable name. Okay, so now when I look at that, I can say, oh, that's what that's about. Okay. There's another thing that we did here that we can change to clean things up a little bit. Because I wanted to make sure you understood what I was doing with this getX and getY. So I pulled them out into separate variables, and then I operated on the variables down here. You could actually do the same thing here. I have this if greenfoot is key down left, right? Yeah. We know that because when we looked it up in the documentation, we know that greenfoot is key down returns a Boolean value, right? So we could have, we could have done something like this. We could have said Boolean is left key down equals, let me see, I just want to show you again. I'm doing a copy, paste, and then we could have said, let me copy this, paste. Okay, so what happens here is this assignment, this takes the output of is key down left and puts it into is left key down. So this returns a true or a false, right? That's what we saw. Its return value is a true or a false, is a Boolean. So that gets here, and then since if needs a Boolean, we could have just put it down there, right? But it's better as a general rule to actually avoid using variables if you can, because somewhere later on in this code, if this code, you start adding things and doing different things with the variables, and you could end up with some value here that's not what you meant. So that's why what we do is we say, okay, I'm not going to set this equal to a variable and then put the variable there. I'm just going to cut this, paste that in there. I'm just going to put that right there and evaluate the whole thing to true or false, and then if can make the decision based on that. Well, you can do something like that down here. Instead of saying int y equals get y and then putting the y down here, let me just say, I could just I'll cut that and paste it right there, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm saying set location x to whatever my y is, right? Now, how would we do that for x? Well, we have to subtract off the step size, right? But we can do that. We can also do that inside this parameter list. So we can say, copy that get x, I'm going to paste it over there, and then we need to subtract off the step size. So we can say minus the step size. And then we don't need this. Okay, so now we can say set location to whatever x is minus the step size and whatever y is. So we're not changing y, but we're changing x by subtracting the step size. Okay. So so that's our left. Let's compile it, make sure it still does what we want. Compile, run, left, yes, we're still going left. So as long as I'm pressing the left arrow key, we go left. Okay. So now what? Now we can do right, and let's say copy and paste, because I'm saying copy paste because we want to do something very similar, right? We want to say if the key down is right, then what? So to go in the x direction, remember, I want to, so to go left, I had to make the x values get smaller. Yeah. To go right, I have to make the x values get bigger. My y values are going to stay the same because I'm not going up or down, but my x values need to get bigger. And they need to get bigger by my step size. Oops, I keep clicking on the wrong thing. Okay, so instead of getting smaller by that step size, I want to get bigger. So I get smaller by subtracting, I get bigger by adding. Okay. Put a space in here to make that a little clearer. Compile. And now, let's do this, and let's run. And now if I go left, it goes left. If I say right, it goes right. Yay! So I have those keys working.